And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am joined by the National Women Leader of the All Progressives Congress APC, Betta Edu, for discussion on the outcome of the 2023 elections and women mobilization. Thank you very much for joining us again tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's start with the APC electoral victory. As the National Women Leader who was visible in virtually all the campaigns, how will you describe the outcome?
So, darling, I thought you were going to start with congratulations. Well, you still have the chance to say so.
All right, congratulations to your party on winning the presidential election.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, this was, I would want to say, the most closely contested elections in Nigeria, well, at least in my lifetime. It was indeed really a tough call, especially for the ruling party APC, following some indices that with poor implementation of the CBN policy, which made people who ordinarily were on the side of APC to have a second look at the party. But in all, first and foremost, we had a very formidable candidate in the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who today has become the president-elect. He is one who has a very sound track record, and Nigerians can trust that he would change things for the better. Indeed, it was really very engaging. One experience which I'll never forget all of my lifetime. Every morning having to show up, and then at night having to go through very long late night meetings all the way into the next morning, and by 8 you're out again on the street canvassing for votes. Women did a great job in this whole electoral process. First of all, in the build-up to it, there was high-level women mobilization at different levels, at the national, at the state, at the local government, at the wards, and even up to the polling unit, grassroots level. Heavy mobilization was done for women across Nigeria. And Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is one who doesn't need to be sold so hard to women, because they know his antecedents and they know what they can trust they would receive under a regime of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We're really very happy that he made it. We're really very happy that Nigerians came out in their numbers and voted for him, voted for good governance, voted for what they know he's going to bring to the table, and he came out and emerged victorious. Of course, women again played very key roles in the whole electioneering process. The campaigns were all out there speaking to women. Women were out there at the campaign grounds. Women were out there going door to door, taking down the grassroots strategy, which I had already discussed earlier on with you people on this station. And we could see the result of that, even the results that came out from was a very tedious process, but we had the best candidate on the ballot, like I said, and today he has emerged as president-elect.
All right, so interestingly, your party also won the governorship election in your home state, Cross River. How do you feel about that feat?
It's victory overall for me. It's a 5 over 5. Well, I won the elections in my polling unit. I won the elections in my ward. I won the elections in my local government. I won the elections in our federal constituency. And of course, in our senatorial district, we won the elections. And now as we speak, we have a president who is APC, and we have a governor-elect who is also APC in Cross River State. Senator Prince Otu is a very seasoned legislator. He is also a very seasoned administrator, one who has a great track record, just like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he'll be taking over the reins from Governor Betta Edu, who has done a whole lot in industrialization. So the shoes are really very big, and we are very confident that he will fit in properly and do even more. So for me, it's victory all around, it's celebration all around. For Nigerian women, it's victory, and we hope to get more victory as the days go by.
All right, so considering how much work must have gone into that, but you lost to Labour Party in the presidential election, why did you lose the first election, and how were you able to bounce back and win the governorship election?
So I think generally in the South, there was that notion or that deception, I want to put it, that the Labour Party had a better offer, which was really based on religious sentiments and in some places ethnic sentiments. So you had the Igbos going out to vote for him because he was Igbo, and then of course the Christians going out to vote for him because he was a Christian. You could see them, you could see him go from church to church. So he gave that image that he was actually the Christians' candidate. So when you go to areas that had Christians, it was easy to see that he would get majority of the vote. A lot of work went into that. Like I said again, in my senatorial district, in the Southern Senatorial District, the Labour Party did not win. We only had some areas where they had strength, and that was what gave them the little margin which they used to win the state. However, we had 2 weeks to re-strategize, 2 weeks to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves, what did we not do right? What did we not get right? And then re-strategize for the governorship elections. And of course, you can see the margin. Labour Party did not even come a second. They came a far third down on the line. Of course, they didn't even have a valid candidate on the ballot. So it was all the way for APC. And these are things which we need to correct going forward. But in all, we're really very grateful that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu won. Our efforts at the national, our efforts going around the country, canvassing for votes, speaking to Nigerians, engaging, holding several meetings, several town halls, day after day for the last 6 months paid off. Nigerians understood. He spoke to Nigerians. He met Nigerians and he spoke to them one-on-one. They had that personal connection with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So you could almost tell before that election that he was going to win. The rest of the people were either doing social media propaganda or running some ethnic or religious trick on the table, right, which was not substantial. Nigerians have gone beyond that. What we want is good governance, and we know who has done it before and who can do it again. In Lagos State, you can see all of the milestones which he has achieved. Being the 5th largest economy in Africa, it's no mean feat. There's no other state in Nigeria that can compare to that, right? So when you have someone who has that kind of track record, you can only wish that he replicates the same in Nigeria. And that's what Nigerians actually went for. Nigerians voted for Nigeria, not for any religion, not for any tribe, but we voted for Nigeria, and that's why Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged. Of course, in our state, we're expecting nothing but the very best. I know after the elections, we'll have to go back to our drawing board and really see how we can use governance to really ensure that we bring back majority of persons who were either confused or swayed by some sweet words or sentiments.
All right. You know, I haven't spoken to a few members of the Presidential Campaign Council who have attributed your party's victory to unity, better campaign, solidified blueprint and vision for Nigeria. But as a member of the APC Campaign Council, what factors will you say contributed to the party's victory in the presidential election?
Well, number one is God, because power comes from God. The second point is the candidate on the ballot. Trust me, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a candidate that you would not come close to beating any day. In spite of everything that happened, one could clearly tell that he would emerge victorious. He was a very, very strong candidate. In fact, our best bet on the ballot. His network is deep. His antecedents, what he has to show, is really, really very great. And so it was easy to know that he was going to pull through victoriously. And then number three, you could see very clearly that other parties were not campaigning. So they'll choose one place to go to today and then go off on a break, and then 3 months later come back and show up in another place. You could count how many states they visited. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in every single state in Nigeria, engaging people either through town halls, through rallies, different forms of engagement, just to ensure that Nigerians can directly have that personal contact with him, that personal feel with his intellectual capacity and what he's going to be offering. You can also bear us witness that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the only candidate who had a clear blueprint of his action plan of what he wants to do for Nigeria and what he's poised to do, what he's determined to do, what he has the political will to do in Nigeria. It was very clear with it. So he was giving you figures, he was giving you time, he was giving you everything the right way. And so Nigerians could have something to hold him accountable to. Beyond that, of course, like you know, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a unifier. He's one person who follows peace. He's one person who brought even aggrieved members of the party back into the party, as many as he could bring back into the party, helping them to work together and looking at the big picture rather than at either ego, pride, or personal sentiments or personal inclination. And with all of that groundwork, on the groundwork, you could definitely tell that victory was imminent. Of course, most of the people who just saw only rallies thought it was all about the rallies. And so when they saw huge numbers in the rallies, they'll say, it's not only about rallies, you can have huge numbers and still lose. But it was beyond that, the consultation every day, the different groups he was bringing together, the marriages that were going on the ground, all of those things really helped APC scale through this hurdle and come out victorious. We're really very proud of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We're proud of the PCC. We're proud of the party APC and its leadership, the NWC. We're also very proud of President Muhammadu Buhari, who was able to allow Nigerians really go out to the polls and vote for who they want. He's one who came in on a clean slate with democracy at the forefront of his agenda, and he has been able to transmit from himself to someone else. In the next couple of days, he will be handing over government. That's a great feat, and we must congratulate him and his wife for that.
All right, Madam Betta, as we look into the successes of your party, it's also very important for us to analyze the lessons. In the governorship election, APC lost some of its states like Zamfara and Plateau. What could be responsible for this?
Wow, those are hard nuts to crack. So for Plateau State, of course, the Christian Muslim ticket and several other factors came into play. Unfortunately, we're not able to overcome them. I want to also think that the DG and the governor was a bit distracted because of his national role. And then some other underlying factors had a role to play in this. In Zamfara, a lot more on some internal crisis within the state and their inability to fully mend fences. I also want to think that there were some betrayals here and there, but in all, it was really very painful to have APC lose Zamfara especially, and of course Plateau State. We are really very hopeful that we can be able to gain back the states as soon as possible. And we are also very hopeful that we can learn from the lessons and we can build on them. One thing I'm definitely very sure of is that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as the leader of the party, will go beyond boards to mend fences and ensure we have a stronger and more formidable front for the next election.
All right, so let's talk about the role of women in the 2023 elections. As the APC national women leader, how will you describe the role of women in your party's victory?
I think women played the most prominent role in this entire electioneering process. If you listen to the speech of the president-elect when he was finally declared as president-elect, you would hear very clearly his thank you, very sincere, deep, profound thank you to Nigerian women, to APC women for the role they played in these elections. It's not easy for women to go all out and work for you. Women at different levels, even women who were professionals, women who were market women, different levels, artisans, name it. They were all out there doing their bits every single day to work for the victory of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Women took ownership, right from the women Women's Campaign Council that was headed by Dr. Mrs. Aisha Buhari, the wife of the president, and of course as the grand patron, and then of course Senator Oluremi Tinubu and Mrs. Nana Shetima, both as the national heads. It was really, really, really very intense for women. We went through all the zones, we went through all the states, engaging women at different levels. We called women leaders, state women leaders, zonal women leaders, senatorial district women leaders, all the way down to the wards and down to the polling units. We had the women's situation rooms where information was given every few minutes, and this was acted on and sent to the main PCC situation room to aid their decisions and how they intervene at different points in time. So women all through this electioneering process had been at the forefront. Like you said very clearly, there was no single town hall meeting or campaign rally that we were not out there talking to Nigerian women and encouraging them to come out and vote for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It was indeed very intense for Nigerian women, but I'm very, very proud of them. I'm proud of APC women. I'm proud of all the efforts they put in, and I must say a very big thank you to all of you, because those efforts paid off. Today, we have the president-elect, and in a few days, we'll have the next president of Nigeria. And of course, you can go to sleep knowing that women will be fully represented. 35% affirmative action, like he said, is an understatement. I'll give it to women because they deserve it. He understands the role women play in nation building and development, and he is going to fully utilize that energy, that nurturing power, that innovation that comes with the Nigerian woman to ensure that Nigeria receives the very best from his regime.
All right, so I know we've discussed this before now, but let's discuss it in proper perspective. Women representation in politics and governance in Nigeria is still a far cry from the 35% affirmative action agreed upon in Beijing. How has the country fared with regards to inclusion of women in the 2023 elections?
Very poorly. Very, very poorly. The results are not encouraging. So for us as a party, APC, we had about 95 women on the ballot. At the National Assembly, we basically have one senator from APC, woman. And then at the House of Representatives, we have less than 13, which is really, really, really very, very disturbing. Very disturbing. It's unfortunate that the women who we put out on the ticket were by all means done away with. So we have a patriarchal society that does not even understand or see the reasons why women should be out there representing their constituency. It's really very sad. I really hope that the 10th Assembly will pass with immediate effect as soon as they take over on the 13th of June. That should be one of their foremost assignments, passing the
All right, I was
the grassroots. If we're not represented there, it's difficult for us to pull through up.
All right, so how, my next question would be, how can we do better? The next election is 4 years from now. How can we do better? And as a national leader, national women leader of the ruling party, what more can you do?
So first, I would be pushing for the legislation to be passed at the National Assembly, because when we have a legal framework, we have something to fall back on. The second point is that we would double up on sensitization across the country. Men must understand that they are partners in this project. So it's not for you to come up and fight a woman and say, leave it to a woman, you won't be able to do it. You had instances where they were told, just leave the ticket, forget about it. If you give the ticket to a woman, they say the ticket has been wasted because they will never vote for a woman. All of those things should be a thing of the past. Nations that are developing have moved beyond that. Go to Rwanda, go and check their women participation in politics, leadership, and governance. It will amaze you. It's almost a 50%. They have twinning all across board. And this has helped in their speedy development. Go to other countries in Africa, not even to talk of other countries in the world where they have far gone beyond this and they are discussing presidency and name it. But we have a situation in our hands here in Nigeria where we're still grappling with the very barest minimum. And yet we have serious resistance from all angles. Even women resisting women. We need to really plead with men and women, get them more sensitized, more informed, get parties to even review their constitution, have constitutional review that gives women more power in the party. So the party is deliberate about giving them their 35% affirmative action. And beyond this, we must ensure that it is implemented. More importantly is the fact that we must build the capacity of women financially to be able to stand elections. Elections anywhere in the world is really capital intensive. So you can't come to run an election and you're running free of charge, or you believe they're going to all step aside or have mercy upon you because you're a woman. This evening, I had a discussion with a woman who is running for the governor of Bayelsa, and I had to really speak to her frankly and prepare her mind for what she's going to see on the field, and then get her mentally prepared to compete favorably well with them. So we need to financially empower women in Nigeria. That way they can be able to go back and run these elections and come out victorious. If they don't have the money to run, then it's almost like saying they might not go too far, right? So all of this needs to be done. We need to change our orientation. The National Orientation Agency and every other civil society group, including even the Ministry of Women Affairs, have to do a lot of work on the orientation of Nigerians, men and women, on women's participation in politics. All of this is very important to see these numbers really increase and go up.
All right, but in the midst of this, we saw a 26-year-old lady, Rukayat Shitu. She won a seat in the Kwara State House of Assembly. I would like you to react to that.
So she has been an inspiration to all of us. Kwara State is just exceptional. They were one of the states that gave us the highest number of female candidates in Nigeria. So Anambra, Kwara, Ekiti, they were top on the list, right? And we were really very, very impressed with the governor when he brought out a young woman to take over the reins of managing a constituency. That's for us is actually a young woman breaking the glass ceiling. And we're very proud of her. We're very grateful to the governor. We're very grateful to APC as a party for pushing this step forward. This shows the beginning of greater things to come. So it already begins to celebrate women and the involvement of young women in politics, in governance, in leadership. Imagine her starting at her 20s to be part of governance, right? By the time she gets into her 30s, you can only tell where she would be. I got into government in my 20s. I was already a special advisor to a governor and a director general of the Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Nigeria. And so it wasn't really out of place or a surprise when at 35, I would be a national woman leader. So when she starts at this point, you can only tell where she's going to, and the sky will be her limit. We'll give her all the support she needs. And of course, our prayers are with her. We're so proud of her. And we believe that other young women can see her as a role model and begin to participate. I think the first step is even participating in politics. Women sit aside and say, no, it's a dirty thing. It's for men. It's for people that have strength. It's for... No. All you need is capacity, commitment, determination, and you will pull through. You will learn. There's no one who knows or was born with these things. Everybody's learning. Even the men, they are learning too. So women should come out and participate. That way, we can have better representation at all levels. We're so proud of her, and we wish her all the very best. And we pray that she gives the very great example of leadership so that all the young women and even the older ones can emulate her.
Very impressive, and I do agree with you. All right, so in your capacity as the national women leader of the APC, can you assure Nigerians that the president-elect will give women a better deal in the next administration?
Definitely. I know that like I know my name. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will give women, in fact, more than the 35% affirmative actions which they have asked for. Is one who in the past even when it was not popular, started the twinning. So a governor is running and you're running with a woman as your deputy. Today, it's become a star thing for our party across the nation. So in the West, you have about 2 states. We have Ogun that has a governor and the deputy as a woman. We have Ekiti that has the governor and the deputy as a woman. Of course, in Kaduna, we have a governor and we have the deputy as a woman, and name it. So APC is really a progressive party. And we are really, really, really very, very hopeful that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a man of his words, a man of integrity, a man who would always say a thing and do it just as he has said, will give women that seat at the table and mainstream us. That's the only way we can have that speedy development in Nigeria. Women will bring everything to the table to see that Nigeria truly works.
All right, so as a medical expert, how will you assure Nigerians of a better health system in the administration of the president-elect?
Well, I've had several discussions with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he has been very clear on what he wants for the Nigerian health sector. He wants it to be more resilient, more dependable, where Nigerians can be able to attain that status of universal health coverage, where everyone can have access to health care, no matter your race, your ethnicity, your tribe, your religion, your economic standing. You can have access to quality healthcare services. It's ready to improve on what President Muhammadu Buhari has done, beginning from basic healthcare to primary healthcare, making it accessible and affordable, providing free healthcare for women and children where possible, and of course, free immunization services across the nation to reduce vaccine preventable diseases. Beyond that, he has also said he's going to really, really focus on brain gain. Most of the doctors who you go to meet outside the country, in London, in the US, in Canada, they are Nigerians that are going there to work because they have a more favorable environment and probably a better pay. Saudi Arabia and other, of course, the EAU and the rest of them are beginning to pull most of our skilled health workers across to their countries. These are all the trends which Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said he would reverse and bring them into Nigeria. He'll build standard specialist hospitals in all the geopolitical zones, making available the best of services, the best you can find anywhere in the world to Nigerians and to other countries in Africa. They'll come here for medical tourism rather than we going to India, going to London, going to all of these places to spend our money. He wants to build a health system that he can rely on, one that can be able to manage any public emergency that might arise. He wants to be able to build a system that is resilient, where Nigerians are proud of and they can go to it, whether they have monies in their pocket or not. Remember, out-of-pocket expenditure right now is over 70% in Nigeria. He wants to be able to reduce that to the barest minimum. So these are all the plans for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He spoke also on the issue of privatization and ensuring that the private sector comes into the health sector fully to be able to bring that revolution in the health sector. Remember what happened in India, where they had their medical revolution. It was in collaboration with the private sector. The private sector has a lot of role to play in the health sector, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has promised that. Beyond this, he has also said he will look into manufacturing of health products. We have the essential medicines, we have vaccines that are consumed in their billions every single year. And for every time we import this, we're weakening our naira, we're weakening our GDP and the rest of it. And he said it's going to turn this trend around through the industrialization drive and several other innovative actions which he has on the table. So Nigerian health sector is really up for a big boost. In fact, he has said it should be treated as an emergency, as an urgency, and Nigerians must have the best of healthcare that they can find anywhere in the world here in Nigeria.